All right, so we're back, and I'm not sure if you guys understand this, but Vasiliy Lomachenko is a once-in-a-generation talent that just put on one of the most dominating performances in championship boxing history. And I still don't know if I understand how good this guy is. What do I mean? The breakdown. Let's go. All right, Vasiliy Lomachenko, George Kambosos, or I guess it was Saturday daytime in Perth, Australia. This was for the lightweight IBF championship of the world, and outside of the ring announcer completely botching 2 decisions on the night, I was a little afraid that we might get another issue with decision Lomachenko, as he lost the Devin Haney fight. A lot of people thought he won, and even obviously had his issues with the Teofimo Lopez decision, even though I thought that was the right one. This was a fight where we didn't know how Lomachenko was going to come back, but you expected the fabled Lomachenko, and that's what he brought into this fight. And listen, George Kambosos beats Teofimo Lopez, takes all the belts off him, becomes undisputed. Devin Haney then took those belts off of George Kambosos, and then had the close fight with Lomachenko. But at 36 years old, coming into this fight, you wondered, does Lomachenko still have the will to do this? Because it was never a matter of skill. Like, does he still want to become undisputed? Can he make that climb one more time? Because at 36, even at the lower weight classes, you're starting to get into that age where maybe, you start looking at other things to do, and how much do you really want to give to the sport? Well, I'll tell you what, Saturday night, Lomachenko gave everything and more, not only to the sport, but to George Kambosos in his home country in front of 15,000 people of his fellow countrymen, sold out in that crowd. You know how I know that Lomachenko was dominating in this fight? You could have heard a pin drop in that arena. There was 15,000 Aussies, and not a person was saying a word. They were in awe, shocked, and disappointed by that return of Lomachenko. This fight was just dominance from the opening round to the end of the fight. And listen, George Kambosos, not known for being a high-landing puncher at the elite level. I think the number, it's shocking, but that he only lands 10 punches per round at the top level of boxing. That's one of the worst in boxing, at like a little more than 20% of his punches landing or something. But when you contrast that, one of the highest accuracy boxers in the world in Lomachenko, you had to know this was going to be one-way traffic. But even then, Lomachenko showed a different level. When he gets going early and he is active early, on his front foot early, this guy, I can't say he's unbeatable because he's been beat, but he looks unbeatable. They call him the Matrix for a reason. He had Kambosos in a blender from round 1. You saw him angle that you shouldn't be throwing punches from. Everyone will teach you that's wrong, but Lomachenko makes it right. Again, you just go round by round here, and the numbers are staggering. He throws 27 punches in the first round, then 41, 51, 46, 41, 44, 48, 49, 48. He is just going crazy. And you look at that, and that's not a crazy output necessarily, but then you look at the punches landed. He's almost landing 50% of the punches he throws per round. What? And that just tells half of the story, because Lomachenko is one of the best offensive fighters because of his ability to be accurate while doing that all, but it's also his defense, his ability to make you miss while standing in front of you. Look at the numbers here from George Kambosos. He lands 40 in 11 rounds. For perspective, Lomachenko landed more than that in rounds 4 and 5. We're talking about just a regular fight, a comeback fight. This is for the IBF World Championship, to reestablish himself as one of the greatest in the world at 135 pounds, a weight class, by the way, he fights up to, much like Gervonta Davis does. Back to that in a second. He fights up to that weight class. He's smaller. He could fight at 130 or even 126 easily right now. But again, I go back to that defense. His best defense is a great offense. When Lomachenko is on his front foot and he's standing in the pocket with you, and he's pressuring you with just his footwork, and he's feint, and he's doubling up his jack. He's doing all of this stuff whilst you're not hitting him, and he's standing in front of you. It's not like maybe what you would see from Shakur Stevenson, who is, again, someone we'll get back to in a second, who he does a lot of the out of range, in range, and, people call it dancing around the ring, but avoiding and moving laterally away from opponents versus staying in the pocket, still being slick for the entirety of the fight, moving forward, displaying good defense while doing so, and then landing damaging punches. And this fight was a big deal, too, because not only was Lomachenko doing all that, dominating offensively, dominating defensively, the thing sometimes we miss at the lower weight classes that can elude some of the guys that don't have power at that weight is the punctuation mark. The thing you want to see, especially when you've had some controversial judging decisions. And not to say anything, but they're in Perth, Australia. You never know. They don't leave it to the judges. And Lomachenko showed up once again. Again, the way Lomachenko fights, he ramps up that pressure, ramps up that volume and that power round by round. So as we get to round 10 and round 11, he has been dominating the fight, but now it's starting to take its toll. Now those shots that he landed early in the fight continued to find a home as Kambosos couldn't figure him out. They start to raise that guard up high, and Kambosos is trying to find a way to just alleviate that pressure. And Lomachenko goes to the body immediately, is working downstairs, then comes back up, lands a straight left hand. I think that actually dropped Kambosos. That was called a slip, but I'm pretty sure he dropped him. And as soon as he gets back up, that was blood in the water. Loma knew he dropped him, that he was almost done. And defensive at the same time, how to take advantage of mistakes and punctuate those with a knockout victory. It was just, it was flawless, man. There was really nothing I could say outside of maybe the fact that Lomachenko takes too many body punches, but it's all for a reason. He's able to take some of those shots to the body to set up his game on the offensive side as well, and eventually his volume and his accuracy overwhelms you, and you stop throwing those body punches to begin with. So again, there was just nothing else I could say but wow. And that's what I said on Twitter after. Wow, this was just something that, just another reason to remind people that even at 36, Lomachenko is still top of the division. Which now we go to, of course, the thing that we always go to after a big fight. What's next? Lomachenko was sitting in the press conference while Gervonta Davis was tweeting about a potential matchup with him. This is what Lomachenko had to say.
Tank Davis has called you out over social media. Make a response to that?
That's easy to do. Social media, I can call out Mike Tyson.
Now, here is the thing. I don't care what either of these guys say. Let's see what happens. Gervonta Tank Davis, Frank Martin. I expect Tank Davis to win that fight. Doesn't mean that's the case. Frank Martin's a motherfucker. He is a beast. But if we get to that point and we have Lomachenko free and we have Gervonta Tank Davis free, are we not making that fight? Now that especially, I don't know what's going on with Tank Davis and Floyd Mayweather and if there's still some issues there, but it looks like he's able to be a little bit more free now. And he's now saying he wants to fight all the best at 135. So that includes Lomachenko. I need to see that fight. In 2024, we're making the biggest fights in boxing. The sport of boxing is up, and I want to see the lower weight classes, one of the scariest divisions in all of boxing still at 135, and you know, you can argue 140 as well, but I want to see the best of the best fight the best, and this would be that fight. I love the contrasting styles, and yes, Lomachenko presents a lot of problems to Tank Davis, but Tank presents a lot of problems too. Let's not act like this is just a foregone conclusion and Loma's going to wash him or Tank's going to knock him out. Like, this will be the test, the bearer of standard for Tank at the top of the division, because his biggest win right now is Ryan Garcia, and Loma has fought all of them except Tank Davis, and someone else we have to enter into this discussion, Shakur Stevenson, who has now moved up, is the, I think, WBC 135 champ. He is now in this mix and is one of the guys I want to see for Lomachenko, because that style is very interesting to me. A guy that is a counter fighter in Shakur Stevenson that can do it off the front foot, that obviously can do it off the back foot, can win a fight with his jab, but Lomachenko is going to make him fight. Like, that's one guy that you can't get away from no matter how far you quote-unquote run. I know Teofimo is now at 140, and that's probably where he's going to stay, but boy, I would love to see him and Shakur, him and Tank Davis. I don't know if we'll ever get it, but these are the fights. And the first one to me that rings out, it's Lomachenko and Gervonta Tank Davis. They're fighting a somewhat similar schedule, right? With Tank fighting in, I guess, a month now or a couple of months. But this is the one you need to make, because Lomachenko's not getting any younger. Tank wants to solidify his name at the top of all of 135. Two smaller guys for the division, two otherworldly talents. Tank with his hand speed and his obvious power and, quite frankly, his ring IQ. Lomachenko with everything that he does. Make the fight. I need the fight, but I came here to tell you guys, Lomachenko is far from done. 36 years old, a year out of the game, does not matter. The Matrix is still here, and everybody at 135's got to go through. Those are my thoughts. Lomachenko's still the man. You guys let me know what you think about what's next for him. Do you want to see him in Tank? Do you want to see him in Shakur? Who is next for the Matrix? I don't have those answers, but in the year of 2024, boxing is up, and it feels like we're getting the fights we want, so guess we'll find out.